this camera assembly out on the Port 1 truss, or to tackle a series of get-ahead tasks that are listed behind this camera port assembly. There's nothing urgent about replacing this camera assembly at this point in time. If we don't get to it, it can be easily rescheduled for a downstream spacewalk.
I'm ready when you guys are.
Copy, Ricky. And the correction for the distance, 1.5 meters. Motion is starting. Start DCA.
Good motion.
Copy, good motion.
You're flying to publish, correct?
That's correct. 1 meter to go.
Copy. Good, guys.
To go.
Copy.
Ricky, this is the published position.
Okay, copy. Aki, do you want me to take any steps here? Even moving the lights, or just want me to hang?
Yeah, negative. Stand by. We're talking about it right now.
Ricky, just a heads up, we're holding brakes off until we figure out if you need more GCA or not. So
okay,
just a heads up.
Copy, thanks, Maker.
All right, Drew, we have one activity for you. We can have you move the camera so that's in the park position.
The park position. Okay, so I think I'm going to make my connectors harder to do if I move it to the park position. So I think the camera's going to go the shortest distance pointing to structure. Is that correct? And the light is going to go outboard, pointing towards structure.
Yeah, I think that you're correct.
What I'll do is, if you wave us off on this, I can move the park position, and but I'll wait for right now to see, because the connectors will become impossible.
Okay, understand, Ricky. So you want to wait because you're at a great position to do the connectors. Is that right?
Well, if I point the cameras where they need to go, I don't think I'll be able to reach the connectors, because the connectors will be down by my feet, and the cameras will be pointing toward my head.
Copy. And we can get some GCA towards your feet to reach that connector if needed.
I'm not sure it buys us anything. If you need me to move it, I can move it really quickly. But if we're going to go ahead and do the cameras, it would make a lot more work after that. The
Stand by.
connectors are just right here, and I'd be moving them farther away.
Stand by. And Ricky, stand by. We're talking.
Okay.
Do not touch the camera just yet.
I haven't done anything. Where are you, Drew?
I'm at the airlock.
Around. I don't think this camera would take all that much time.
I don't know. Yeah.
consumables, so maybe, yeah, my Medox is gone or something, but yeah, not enough time to pull it off. True. To go after the radiators with the arm configured and everything. Yeah, the T-bar at least.
Flight Director Tony Sacacci here in the flight control room, finalizing the future course of action for Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold as he consults with his lead spacewalk officer, Grant Slusser, on the choreography that lies ahead regarding work with the replacement of this camera assembly out on the Port 1 truss of the International Space Station.
All right, guys, here's the big picture. So looking at the time remaining, here's our plan. We're going to remove the old CP8 camera with the HD camera attached to it, and we're going to bring it back inside. We're going to bring out the spare camera and install that without the HD camera.
Okay.
All right, so with that, Drew, you can start bringing the camera out and bring it over to the CP8 work site. And Ricky, we do not have inhibits in place just yet, so once we have inhibits in place, we'll let you know.
Are we still removing the HD camera, or are we going to fit that whole thing in one bag bundle?
Everything in one bag. And because it's not going to be fitting negative, so we're not going to put it in the bag. We're just going to carry it back into the airlock.
Okay, copy. Okay, and for the big bag, were we taking the large, small width of the bag?
Negative.
For the plan, I don't remember. Okay, large, small space?
Yep, that's correct.
Hey, Drew, you're coming in really safe. Are you in the airlock? Yeah, I'm in the airlock. Okay. If you could relay that, Aki, that'd be great. Checking.
Yeah, Drew, so you don't have to take the large, small ret. You can leave that in the airlock.
This is Mission Control Houston at the 3-hour, 6-minute mark into today's spacewalk. The slightly amended plan, radioed up by spacewalk communicator Aki Hoshide to the crew outside the International Space Station, involves both Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold moving over to the Port 1 truss of the station. Arnold is at the end of the station's robotic arm. He'll be joined there by Drew Feustel a short time from now. They will replace the failed camera assembly on the Port 1 truss of the station. The only task associated with that will not be accomplished is the removal and reinstallation of the high-definition camera that's currently on the failed assembly. The high-definition camera works perfectly. It's the rest of the assembly, the pan and tilt unit, that is not working properly. So that will be replaced with a new camera assembly. The high-definition camera will not be reinstalled in the new assembly at this time because of limiting consumables for the crew members outside, driven by the metallic oxide or MEDOX rate of usage by the crew, which enables us to have a limiting factor of about a 6-hour spacewalk today. The bottom line is we'll have a new camera assembly installed on the Port 1 truss of the station. The HD camera will be reinstalled in that new assembly at a later date. It is not critical for any operation that the space station is involved with at this point in time.
There's a big bag. We're gonna that thing's got some inertia. Okay. I have the bag on my swing arm with the ret from the BRT.
Copy, Drew.
Drew Feustel's helmet camera view looking inside the Quest Airlock's crew lock section. Again, the decision has been made to proceed with the replacement of the failed camera assembly out on the Port 1 truss of the station, minus one task, which would be the removal and reinstallation of a high-definition camera on the new assembly. That will be deferred to a later spacewalk, not essential for any space station operations at this point in time. The new camera assembly that will be installed out on the Port 1 truss does have a new standard definition camera affiliated with it and a new pan and tilt unit. So all of that will be installed on the Port 1 truss before this spacewalk draws to a close today, as we are now at the 3-hour 9-minute mark.
Cover. Cover is closed.
Copy, thermal covers.
Yeah, I'm on my way, Ricky. Take your time. Gigantic bag.
Right, Drew, you're going to head over to the P1, past the port Cedar cart, and make sure you do not fair lead because we need the full 85 feet to get out there.
See that? On the way. No fair
Copy.
lead. By the sunrise.
This is Mission Control Houston. To recap, the crew has worked its way through a variety of tasks associated with today's spacewalk, the installation of a pair of wireless antennas on the Tranquility module for future payload data retrieval, the removal of a pair of flex hoses on a coolant component on the truss of the station, and the repositioning of a cable associated with another coolant component at the S0 truss point of the station. Now they'll press ahead to make their way to the Port 1 truss on the left side of the station to work on the removal and replacement of a failed camera assembly on the Port 1 truss, with one amended task that will be omitted, that being the removal of a high-definition camera on that failed assembly and its reinstallation on the new assembly. With that, we're going to take some additional questions up in our viewing room from Flight Director Emily Nelson and veteran astronaut Tom Marshburn, who are standing by to answer your questions here on Facebook Live. Let's go to Megan Sumner up in the viewing room.
Thanks, Rob. I'm here with Emily and Tom. Just as you said, we're back. We're answering your questions on Facebook Live. So send them in the comments, and we have these great folks that are here to answer for you. Tom has done several spacewalks himself, and Emily has led spacewalks as a flight director. So they're certainly the perfect people to be here and answering your questions. So I have one from Michael, who wants to know about the advanced planning that goes into a spacewalk. Maybe both of you can talk a little bit about that.
Goodness. Yeah, so we kind of keep a honey-do list, the things that either we're ready to improve and install updates to the outside of the space station, or things that are broken but maybe aren't critical, and those will go on a list that will gradually work down. We hand that list off to our spacewalk flight control team. There's a pretty good sized team that includes astronaut, includes flight controllers, who then figure out the most efficient way to get things off of that list and put them together into one spacewalk that's usually about 6.5 hours long, that'll knock as many things off that list as possible. Sometimes they'll be related because they use the same tools. Sometimes they'll be related because they're in the same areas or use the same skill set. And then we just start working down the list. So right now we've got 3 EVAs identified and detailed out for this spring. And frankly, if something falls off of one spacewalk, it can be added to the next spacewalk, because we stay pretty flexible with all that. Anything to add, Tom?
Oh, yeah. So that whole process can take weeks from identification of what you need to do to actually executing it, months, maybe even years sometimes. However, the team is very flexible. My last spacewalk was an emergency one from the space station. Identified a problem, a coolant leak on the outside of the station, and within 36 hours or about that time, we were in our spacesuits going out, myself and Chris Cassidy, to help repair that leak. So the team is always ready to think on their feet and to keep the preparation short if we need to, if we have to get out the hatch really fast.
Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of questions about the mirrors on their wrists. Can you talk a little bit about that and what they have on their wrists?
That one's you.
Yeah, so the mirrors are essential. What you've got in front of you, in the front of your spacesuit, you might see a little box there. That's the display control module, a little computer with dials on it. Control your temperature, you control the oxygen flow, the volume of the comm, and those mirrors will, if you wrap your arm around, you can see through the mirror and see what's going on. Sometimes you can look down and see your tether configuration. So you're in a big, bulky spacesuit. You can't stick your head out over the outside the visor to look down your suit. So those mirrors help you to see what's going on in the front of your suit.
Thank you. Okay, Skylar wants to know, how do you know when something is broken and you have to go out and do a spacewalk?
Oh, goodness. Well, so for the example that Tom gave, I happened to be working as a flight director the day we got a call from crew members on board who said, hey, we see some white stuff floating away from the space station. Any idea what that might be? And so we got our Cronus flight controller panned some cameras around to go and take a look at the outside of the space station, and we figured out, hey, look at that. We're losing ammonia out of one of our cooling loops. We should probably go take care of that. So for the quick turnaround ones, the team here in Houston or around the world is looking at telemetry that's coming down from the space station, whether that's digital data or video coming down from our camera system. And that's how we basically keep our eyes on the pulse of the station, figure out how everything is doing. And more often than not, we identify something's wrong from our digital data, but occasionally these great cameras that we have on the outside of the space station give us a clue as to what's going on. One of the things that we're working on today, taking some leaking jumpers off, that was another one we identified because our high-def cameras were high enough resolution that we were able to actually see the flakes of ammonia escaping. So we use a lot of different ways to identify problems.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question from Lindsay. Do you get bruises from the spacesuit pressure?
Do you get bruises from the spacesuit pressure? Not from the pressure so much, but you're right, Lindsay. The suit, when it's blown up to 4.2 psi, when you're in a vacuum, it's rigid. It's almost like armor. And so you do get bruises. I liken it to like a good pair of hiking boots. They're not the most comfortable things in the world, but they get the job done. So the suit, when you come out, you can feel a good bit sore in certain places, even for your best fitting suit. And so that's just one of the wonderful things about doing a spacewalk. You just got to get used to it.
That leads into another question. How do they fit the suits? Is it one size fit all?
No, now there is torso. The upper body part of it is hard fiberglass. And so there are 3 sizes of that we fly on the space station right now. So that's the only choice you have. There's a limited number of arms and legs that we can attach to that. The gloves are custom made to the astronaut. Just a limited number of helmets as well. So you kind of have to adapt to your suit as well as find something that fits you. I will say that the engineering team that designs the fit of your suit, they work with us constantly, even over years, to make sure our suit fit is as good as it can be. They can add padding to our underwear. They can tighten some things, say on the fingers of the gloves, to improve the suit fit as much as they can. So there's a bunch of people dedicated to making that work.
Thank you. All right, Jordan is asking, do astronauts worry about running out of oxygen, and do you have a reserve tank?
Yes, we do have a reserve tank, and we don't worry about it. It's like anything in space. If you know that the problem could exist, and if you have a plan for, if say you started to get a leak from your suit, if you have a plan for getting back inside, then it becomes just a matter of planning and preparing yourself for that. And so we do this kind of emergency training all the time. When we're practicing in the NBL, the instructors will say, hey, let's say you have a leak right now. What are you going to do? So we have a cuff checklist. That's an emergency procedures that's on their wrist. They have it right now. So if they lost comm with the ground, they could immediately look at that and execute it. And we memorize certain things, how much time we have to get back in the airlock, say, if our reserve tank kicked in because we had a leak. And we train to do that, to get back inside, sometimes with the help of your buddy, get back in the airlock.
All right. James is asking, do astronauts feel the temperature difference between shadow and sunlight?
Yeah, very much so. That's something we can't train for very well, but in space it's a big deal. You get out when it's dark outside. When I was out there, sometimes my hands would get so cold I almost couldn't feel my fingers. Teeth might even start chattering, that sort of thing. And then when you get on the dark side, particularly if you don't have your visor, that gold visor down, the sun comes in, you can start sweating right away. So we work hard to regulate the temperature control valve on our suit, but also to regulate our workload. To make sure we stay kind of as comfortable as you can.
All right, maybe for you, Emily, Megan wants to know how many people are in mission control.
Oh, goodness. Well, you've got the room behind us, which I think we're blocking. You don't really get to see these folks. But, I don't count that fast. We've probably got several hundred between this room here. We've got another room that is also filled with flight controllers, actually a couple of different rooms that are providing folks who are looking in detail at the data that's coming down from the space station. And then we have whole teams of engineers, suit techs, our management team are all in the building on a day like today where the crew is doing the most dangerous thing they ever do. So today the building is more full than it is most days. On an ordinary day, you'd have a little less than about a quarter of the number of people that we have throughout the building right now.
Thank you. 5-year-old Kate is asking, how high is the space station?
Well, let's see. We can get it down to the mile.
Right now, we've got data right there. It says 226.5 nautical miles.
All right. David's asking, what happens if an astronaut passes out or gets hurt?
Gets hurt. So if you're on a spacewalk, that's why we always go in pairs. You have your buddy with you. And again, we train for that. We'll train to have your spacewalking buddy be unresponsive for whatever reason. And so what you do is you go over to that person if you're the one that's unaffected, and you attach yourself to them and get them inside. It's one of the things we train for. Inside, there are these great medical kits. We can render first aid. We can do all the way up through pretty intense emergency care. Of course, the Soyuz is always there as the space ambulance, if you will, to get us back home if we need to.
All right, thanks. Quarantine's asking if they've used the Canadarm today.
Oh, absolutely. Today's spacewalk in particular, there were a number of items that we needed Ricky to have both of his hands free. And so one of the good ways to do that is to put a kind of anchor point on the end of the Canadarm, and then he can put his boots in there, and that'll hold him steady. Meanwhile, Scott Tingle is inside the space station, and he and Nemo are moving Ricky around to get him to so that he can reach all the different things that he needs to work on. So for both retrieving ammonia jumpers and for removing and installing the camera group, he's going to be in the arm the whole day.
All right. Brianna wants to know if you're working above the East Coast, would I be able to see you just by looking in the sky?
Yeah, it depends on the time of day. You can see the space station going overhead at twilight or at dusk, so when the sun is setting or rising. It depends on how high off the horizon it is, but there are some apps you can use to find out if the space station is passing over you and whether it's a good time to go outside and take a look. It's beautiful.
All right, thank you. Let's see, how long does it take to put on a spacesuit? That's from Jeremy.
Yeah, it takes a few hours, actually, if you can believe that. And that's because spacesuit is like a spaceship. And so not only do you put it on, but you have to check out all the systems. You've got to make sure the pressure is okay, the communications is okay, even the propulsion in that little jetpack I was talking about. All of that stuff has to be all set up. And then you have to go through a decompression protocol so you don't get the bends when you go out and do your spacewalk. So it takes a while.
All right. For you, Tom, I know your background is a medical doctor, so we actually have someone asking, how do you treat an infection in flight?
An infection in flight, just like you do on the ground, actually. First thing is try to avoid it. If somebody would get a wound, that hasn't happened very often in space, but if it does, you want to clean it out. But we have antibiotics on board. We can even get them intravenously if we had to. So we've got a pretty good array of antibiotics on board.
All right. Emily Yu is asking, why are there so many PCs in the control room? So can you talk a little bit about the computers and what's on them? And
Absolutely. Just like on board, we have 2 different computer networks on the space station. We have 2 and more computer networks here on the ground. Really, the only way that our flight controllers are really able to see what's happening on all of the systems on board the space station is through the telemetry, the digital data that's coming down, sensor data, computer data, all of those kinds of things. And so for many of our flight controllers, they need a lot of screen real estate just so that they can see plots of temperatures and currents and a lot of the sensor data, so that, because really plots are the best way for them to get a good sense of what's going on in the space station. For other consoles, we've got a lot of support paperwork that we have to deal with, writing procedures, writing timelines, and it just requires a lot of computer power to get all that work done.
all right, thank you. So we have a question from Tiago. In case there's not enough time left to finish all the tasks, would the spacewalk be postponed, or would they go into overtime and finish? Would they keep going?
Sometimes they can do either. It depends on how the day is going. Today we got started a little bit late, so I would be really surprised if we extended. We don't like to extend too long just because we don't want them to be too beat up at the end of the day, and we've got a lot of work that they need to be doing next week as well. So, but both are an option. If there's a task that can't get done today, we've got more spacewalks coming later in May, and we can add those tasks to those EVAs pretty easily. Our team is really flexible and able to accommodate those changes. But if we're doing really well and everything is running exactly according to plan, we always have a long list of additional tasks that we can add to the timeline, and so we can certainly extend if that's the appropriate thing to do.
All right. We have amazing pictures coming down from the astronauts in space. A lot of them they're posting on their social media accounts. So Tom, Ben wants to know, are astronauts trained in photography?
We are trained in photography. We have a set of photographic equipment that is just wonderful, and we're expected to take that out, check it out, practice as much as we can with it. But there is a formal training course as well once you're assigned to a space flight. But making photography one of your hobbies is always a good idea if you're an astronaut.
All right. We have a couple people asking, why do you still get instructions from the ground when you've practiced ahead of time?
Yeah. Well, each procedure for each person could have several hundred steps, easy to forget stuff. What's unique about spacewalk and about spaceflight in general is you never know what you're going to get. And so when you go out the hatch, the hardware might not cooperate with you. You might see something on the outside that you didn't expect. So we're in constant communication with the ground. Not to mention, we want them to have complete situational awareness where we are, what we're doing, what we think we should be doing, so that the ground can be on top of things, particularly if we need help. If we get into an emergency, then they can just give us an instruction that's needed. On the space station era right now, since we don't have the space shuttle anymore, we can't practice like we used to. These astronauts, Drew and Ricky right now, have never done this timeline that they're working today all in one piece before. They've done all the individual tasks as part of their generic training that Emily was talking about. But this is the first time they've done it.
All right. Well, we're out of questions for today. We really appreciate all of the great questions you've been sending in. Keep sending them in, and we'll try to get some of them answered by Rob on console. But thank you, Tom and Emily, so much for joining us, and thank you all for sending in your questions. And we'll let you get back to the spacewalk coverage. Keep watching.
And we are setting a manual mode.
Do not give me any station ports, so body...
This is Mission Control Houston. Thanks to you, Megan, and to Emily Nelson and Tom Marshburn for their time today in answering a whole plethora of questions submitted on Facebook Live from our viewers. Very interesting stuff. While we've been away listening to the questions being answered, Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold have made their way over to the Port 1 truss of the International Space Station as they prepare to remove a failed camera assembly from the Port 1 truss position. This, known as camera port 8, has lost its pan and tilt capability. The high-definition camera that was installed on a previous spacewalk on this particular camera assembly is fully functional, but because of the usage of consumables by both of the spacewalking crew members today, basically the MEDOX rate, this is metal oxide regenerator assembly. It's essentially canisters that are in their spacesuits to remove expired carbon dioxide and trace contaminants during a spacewalk operation. The metabolic rate being exhibited by the crew members and the use of the MEDOX to scrub carbon dioxide out of their environmental systems in their spacesuit has resulted in about a 6-hour spacewalk. That's what we're going to limit this to today, give or take a few minutes. And so the amended plan, as radioed up a little while ago by Aki Hoshide, the spacewalk communicator here in Mission Control, will have Feustel and Arnold replace this failed camera assembly out on the Port 1 truss, but not remove the high-definition camera as had been planned. The original plan for today's spacewalk called for the high-definition camera to be removed, temporarily parked, and then reinstalled on the new camera assembly. However, to save time, the high-definition camera, which is fully operational, will be brought back inside the Quest airlock and then brought back outside on a future spacewalk to be installed on the new camera assembly. This will have no impact to any future station operations. And a good picture there of Ricky Arnold at the end of the station's robotic arm with his feet planted on a portable foot restraint at the end of Canadarm2, working in concert with Drew Feustel at the top of your screen as they prepare the new camera assembly for installation out on the Port 1 truss.
Hey, Ricky, this is XYZ published number.
Okay.
Drew, did you get the connectors?
Aki, is it the one that's connected to the light?
Yeah, there should be one connector. I guess it's already mated.
I think it's already mated to the light.
Okay.
Okay, Ricky, how is the yaw? The angle is okay?
Yeah, if you can it's fine. This will work.
Okay, so
let me just make sure I can get a handoff to Drew. Drew, you think you can get up here close enough to do a handoff?
okay, GCA complete, correct?
I do. Okay. This will work. And I think you could probably grab this almost right out of the bag, probably.
Copy, GCA complete.
Hey, Aki,
Yeah, Drew, watch out for that stanchion. It cannot withstand the kick loads above that launch restraint bolts. And so big picture, Ricky, you're going to do the bolts first, I guess, get the scoop from Drew for the failed.
Okay.
Put it on the camera group, do the bolts, remove the camera group, give it to Drew, and then Drew, you can hand over the spare one to Ricky to install. And Drew, once you get the failed camera, we're not going to mess with the bag. You're just going to bring it back to the airlock as is.
Okay. And you guys sure you don't want to try for the HD?
Firm.
Okay. Ricky, I think I can take the old one. I think you could probably almost grab this straight out of the bag, the way I've got it sitting here.
So, Drew.
You ready? Probably pretty close. All right.
Yeah, Drew, first.
Need a scoop.
Yeah, first we need the scoop.
Where did it go? I can definitely grab it now. Can you hold it for a second? Yeah, I got it. I gotta get that scoop up to you. What's the weather in Houston today, Aki?
I don't know. It was raining this morning. I don't know right now.
I guess not many windows.
Apparently, it's nice out there. Yeah, we don't know.
I think I heard Leslie say it's raining. You got it? Got it. I got the camera again.
All right, Ricky. So the scoop, install it, handle ISS forward nadir, basically clear access to the secondary bolts.
Forward nadir, so just straight up and down? Oh no, forward nadir, like would be
yeah,
like
45.
4 o'clock position. I think I was actually looking at it. I think it's the other. No.
Yeah,
right,
4 o'clock or 10 o'clock would work. That's good, Ricky.
Okay, scoop's on. So that's
Copy.
the PGT at some point.
Yeah, let's get the PGT. Bravo 1, counterclockwise 2.
Bravo 1, counter 2, quick cow.
And you can lock out the red wheel. Just give us slack so that there's no side loads. And maybe that's on Drew's side.
All right. Watch your head there. Got it. Oh, never mind. It was Bravo 1, counter 2.
Correct. We're going to work the 2 outer bolts, any order, 13 turns.
Any order, 13 turns.
And it's going to spring out and free spin.
That one yet? Four for 13.
And Drew, can we get a quick glove and half?
No change for the gloves from egress. App is dry.
Copy. Thank you.
Nine for 13. Hey, Aki, where are we flying right now?
We are actually over at the southern tip of South America.
Awesome. One down at the southern tip of South America. I'd like to say hi to. All right, let's see. Yaki, that topped out with 13 turns.
Copy.
I think it's out, isn't it, Drew? Yeah, that's out. All right. All right, 13 on. Wow, look at the mountains. Can't see them. Oh, no cap, Dennis. Patagonia. Back to 13. It looks like it popped out already. Is that possible?
Did you say it popped out?
Couldn't like it. What do you see? Any of these? Can't see that one. Nope. See the one, the other one I did? The first one I saw. Did it look like it's popped out? Let's see, wiggle it again. Not quite. That one's popped out. I think this one's popped out too.
If it's free spinning and popped out, we're good with those two.
Okay, always go back for it. Okay.
All right, center jack. Make sure it's in Bravo 1 counterclockwise 2.
Will do. Bravo 1 counterclockwise 2. Set.
Okay, center bolt, 31 turns, and at the end, bolt will free spin.
Okay. Burning. Bolts are coming out very smoothly. Driving out. The whole box moving. 22 turns for approximately 31.
Copy.
I think that's good. Here we go. Aki, is there any desire to have me unlock or Ricky unlock this before they install it, or is that not the plan?
Not sure what you were saying, but if you can hand off the the ret. Yeah, so that was for the side load, so you can unlock it.
I need to grab that from you. I hope so.
Yep, that is correct.
This maker's going to come get it. I was kind of floating, so make it a good.
This is Mission Control Houston, 3 hours, 41 minutes into our spacewalk today. A good view of Ricky Arnold at the end of the station's robotic arm. At the bottom of your screen, at the top, Drew Feustel working in concert at the early stages of the replacement of a camera assembly out on the Port 1 truss of the International Space Station. The station is currently flying at an altitude of 254 statute miles from southwest and northeast, flying directly over southern Brazil. As we have mentioned, a slightly amended plan, only a very minor tweak to today's plan. All of the other work has been completed by Feustel and Arnold. The original plan for the replacement of this camera assembly called for a high-definition camera on this component to be removed and then reinstalled on a new camera assembly that will soon be installed on the P-1 truss by the two spacewalkers. However, because of the usage of consumables by the two crew members outside, we're going to be limiting today's spacewalk to around 6 hours or so. And the high-definition camera that was to be reinstalled on the new camera assembly will be brought back inside the airlock along with the failed camera assembly, and will wait for another day and another EVA to be reinstalled on the new camera assembly out on the Port 1 truss. This will have zero impact to any station operations anytime soon, and in all likelihood the high-definition camera will be reinstalled on the new camera assembly on the Port 1 truss on the next spacewalk this spring, or perhaps the one thereafter.
And when you do that, make sure you...
Connectors are clear.
Copy. And make sure you're picking your green hook on the way back.
All right, should this go to a... So, are you going to come back and get this bag too? I don't think so. I think you have to... Well, maybe I will. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the plan, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay, Aki, this thing is not really a soft dock, but I think it's seated.
Yeah, there's no soft dock on that.
Okay, so you just start driving which bolt first? I guess the jacking bolt.
Ricky Arnold has completed the removal of the degraded camera port 8 assembly, the camera assembly as it is called. The new camera group will soon be installed with the assistance of Drew Feustel, who will take the old or failed camera assembly back into the airlock for stowage.
Okay. All right. So, settings?
Bravo 1, clockwise 2.
All right. Roll on reverse. You want max running torque.
That is correct. And so first we're going to go 23 turns only. That's 2-3. And expect a low torque message. We would need you to report the turns and the max running torque.
Three turns. What the best way is to drive in 2, 3. Seeing a max running torque of around 12. Actually, under actual, it's 8. .4, 9, 10 turns, 8.4, 11, 12, 14 for 23, the actual max running torque is about 8.4. And at a low torque, 23 turns. The actual is it 2.7 or it's a 227?
Say again, 227?
Okay, Aki, so I got the low torque before 23 turns. Fault light.
Copy.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving, man. All right, dude.
And did you report...
Can you look over here?
Did you report max running for 8.4?
It was 8.4 running now, yeah.
Okay.
How
So,
does this thing look on the back? Good. Okay? Yeah, it looks good. Gigantic? It's gigantic, but it's good, and the light is back behind you. Okay. There I go.
all right, Ricky, so
Aki, the boat.
PGT setting is Alpha 7, clockwise 2.
Alpha 7, clockwise 2. And the bolt was very smooth.
Copy. And Ricky, if you can look at Drew, check his WVS light. We're not getting his WVS right now.
I can't.
The green light is on.
Yeah.
Copy, green light. Thank you.
The green light is on. Want me to cycle it or anything?
Negative. Do not need to cycle. So back to you, Ricky. Alpha 7, clockwise 2. Primary bolt, drive to torque.
Drive to torque, copy. How many turns are you expecting, Hockey?
Additional 2.5 turns minimum.
Okay. I'm at 4 turns. Still driving. Here we go. All right, so 7.7 turns. And the actual torque, you want the max running torque?
Max final torque.
Okay. Green light, 9.1.
Copy. That's a good number. Visual check for contact between the camera front wedge and the support structure. Basically, make sure it's installed.
It looks installed to me. I mean, it's
Copy.
coming out.
All right. You can remove the round scoop. Stow it on your mini workstation. And Ricky, if you're struggling and if you feel comfortable bringing it back to the bag, that's fine too.
I'm going to put it back in the bag, yeah. It's just right there.
Copy.
Didn't even have any tension on the rat when I let it go, so it didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
All right, what do I got, buddy?
All right. Let's do a quick glove and hap.
Gloves look great. Left hand. Looks like when I got out here. Right hand still has on the right index finger the little dark spots that I told you about. To be honest, I don't know if they were there when I left. They look new. And they're just like a couple dark smudges. I don't know if you can see them in the WVS, but the RTV, it looks pristine.
Okay.
Dry.
Copy. All right. Next is the forward secondary bolt.
Copy.
PGT setting Bravo 1, clockwise 2.
Bravo 1. Clockwise 2. I'll start on the forward one first.
That's a copy. 5 turns only. Again, 5 turns only. Expect the low torque, report turns, and the max running torque.
Okay. 5 in. Five turns. Max running torque was going like 4. Sorry, 5.
Did you say 5 for max running torque?
Yeah, they both went in really smoothly.
Copy. All right, Ricky, PGT setting Alpha 5, clockwise 2.
Hey, Alpha 5, clockwise 2, puts in.
Again, minimum of additional 2.5 turns.
Minimum of 2.5 to just drive to torque, correct?
Say again.
Okay. Just drive to torque.
Yeah, that's correct. Drive to torque.
It looks to me like that bolt is like only partially, doesn't look like it's really in all that tight. I mean, it's definitely receded, it's definitely been driven. Are you expecting a little bit of a gap between the bolt and the camera? Like it looks like there's like a millimeter between the washer and the camera face.
Checking.
Okay, heading down Cedar Spur. What islands we're flying over right now? Look down.
Hard to tell. And Ricky, you're talking about the gap between the bolt and the camera?
Yeah, the washer and the camera. I mean, there's still a visible gap between the two of them. Are you expecting that?
Yeah, Ricky, that's expected. So you can drive it Alpha 5 clockwise 2 to torque.
Copy. I just want to make sure.
Yep, thanks for checking with us.
Alpha 5, clockwise 2.
Good PGT.
Okay, I have got the big camera back at the airlock.
Sweet.
Yeah. Hey, Aki. There's another 3.8, and the actual torque, the green light, and 3.6.
Copy. Standby checking. I got 3.8 and 3.6 for turns.
Okay. Yep. Bravo 1, clockwise 2, 5 turns only on the next one, correct?
Correct.
Max running torque.
Yep, expect low torque message.
We're not showing any torque at all, Aki. Driving.
Copy.
Going 0 point something. 0 point something is really smooth on 5 turns. Try what the other bolt did.
This is Mission Control Houston approaching the 4-hour mark in today's spacewalk by Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold. And again, as has been the case on a number of spacewalks, the flight control team is assessing the time remaining based on consumables and whether or not further amendments to the timeline might be made to yet complete this high-definition camera swap.
Back to Alpha.
This view from Ricky Arnold's helmet camera, and now the wider view showing him bolting the new camera assembly into place on the port 1 truss.
All right, Ricky, Alpha 1, clockwise 2. Again, bolt drive to torque, minimum additional 2.5 turns.
Copy. In work. Okay. Green light. I'm making this hard to read. 4.5 turns and 2.3 for the torque.
Andrew, we see the camera safely in the airlock.
It is indeed safely in the airlock with, I hope, minimal bumping on the way here.
Copy. Good job there.
Aki, if I'm not mistaken, I could put my PGT back in the ORU bag, but I don't know what you guys have for us next.
Yeah, standby 1.
Take your time. You and Drew?
I'm doing well. I'm just back at the airlock. I don't. I'll see.
All right, Ricky, what we'd like you to do is hit the forward secondary bolt. That's the first bolt that we did, again with Alpha 5 clockwise 2.
Copy. Alpha 5. Alpha 5?
Affirm, Alpha 5 clockwise 2.
The first one I did, the forward one, Alpha 5 clockwise 2 till torque.
Affirm.
Okay, work. Okay, that's it. Okay, the torque was 6.4 and it was like 0.2 of a turn. Green light.
When Nemo or Maker come wave at me from the window.
We're now just past the 4-hour mark into today's spacewalk.
Ricky, thanks a lot. Great job there. Hey, just wanted to tag up with Drew what we're thinking, and also with you. So we do have, we did manage to get the old camera in the airlock in time. Thank you guys for working that. And so at this point, we were going to try and get the HD camera that's in the airlock right now, bring it back out, and install it.
Okay. Let's put it in this medium ORU bag? Or just put a scoop on it and bring it?
Just a scoop on it is fine. That one does not have a short thermal clock, so we can just put a scoop on it and then bring it out.
Okay, the cable needs to come with it, right?
Affirm.
Is my thinking correct that this PGT could just go into RU bag, or do you want me to go ahead and do a socket swap while I'm sitting here?
Standby.
No rush.
Yeah, Ricky, you're correct. So you can stow the entire PGT with the extension in your medium ORU bag.
I guess I don't need it for the HD camera. That's right, yeah.
That is correct. So what we need for the HD camera once Drew brings it out is to install it with that cam lever, and then we'll do the connectors.
It'll be out in a second.
This is Mission Control Houston in the true definition of never say never. We have reevaluated the crew's time and consumable usage, and now the plan is for Drew Feustel to bring out the high-definition camera that is on the old camera assembly that was removed a short time ago from the Port 1 truss of the station, and to work toward the nominal plan of reinstalling it in the new camera assembly that has just been bolted into place by Ricky Arnold, working at the end of the station's Canadarm2 robotic arm. So once again, a bit of broken field running by the flight control team here in Mission Control. And again, the original plan earlier in the spacewalk was in evaluating the time left based on consumables for Feustel and Arnold. The plan had been just to remove the old camera assembly with the high-definition camera, which is functional, to bring it back in the airlock and install the new camera assembly and call it a day. But now there appears to be enough time, with the crew having made swift work of installing the new camera assembly. They'll bring that high-definition camera back outside and reinstall it on the new camera assembly to complete the nominal task, which is the final task for this spacewalk.
Where are you, Drew? I'm in the airlock still. Stand by. My GoPro's toast. Oh, it's still kicking.
Hey, Drew, in the airlock, we understand that when you remove the HD camera from the camera group, you'll need a large small red to secure the camera group in the airlock. And then you'll just take a scoop onto the HD camera and then BRT to yourself and bring it out.
Copy all and concur, and I'm heading out here shortly. I'm outside the airlock.
Copy that.
The large group is large, small, and I've got a ret on the camera lens cover, and I've got a ret on the scoop, which is attached to the BRT.
You rock, man.
Yeah, ret on the scoop.
That looks awesome.
What do you think about ORU bag inventory? I'm sitting here.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the view from Drew Feustel's helmet camera with the high-definition camera that has been removed from the old failed camera assembly that he brought back inside the Quest airlock. The flight control team reassessed the amount of time left for the spacewalkers today and decided to reverse course from an earlier decision not to reinstall this high-definition camera on the newly installed camera assembly on the Port 1 truss. They now will bring that high-definition camera over to where Ricky Arnold is positioned at the end of the station's robotic arm, and they will install this high-definition camera after all to complete the nominal task planned for this particular facet of today's spacewalk, which is now past the 4-hour, 6-minute mark.
Close the thermal cover.
Didn't work. I'll be there in a minute or two. And back. How you doing now, Ricky? I'm doing fine. Great.
Hey, Drew, real quick.
Haven't really done a whole lot today. Yep.
Hey, Drew, on the AC camera, you have the cable on it, correct?
Yes.
And if you have the cable, yeah, we're good.
Okay, I have the cable.
Thank you, sir.
Cable and the cover. Did you say you put a scoop on the camera? I have a scoop on the little HD, so I don't even need it. Okay, awesome. Good thinking. What's the only way to carry it through?
This is Mission Control Houston. Just to recap, Drew Feustel is bringing the high-definition camera that was removed from the old camera assembly that had been disconnected from the Port 1 truss of the International Space Station and brought into the Quest airlock. And we now expect to complete the nominal task of reinstalling that high-definition camera onto the new camera assembly that has been bolted into place. The crew making up quite a bit of time over the past 45 minutes or so, enabling flight controllers to reverse course and direct the spacewalkers to press ahead with the nominal completion of this task and the installation and activation of that high-definition camera out on the Port 1 truss.
That's it.
Copy. Check him.
To adjustable to the scoop. Ret to be adjustable to the scoop. Make someone happier.
Copy, Ricky, and we understand the PGD's in there too. So with that, we are happy with medium warrior bag inventory.
Awesome, thanks, Aki.
Thank you.
Hey, Aki, gonna drop my green hook again.
Thanks. I was going to talk about that. Great.
Can't see you. Not there yet. Well, I know that. Looking in my mirror. Your rear view mirror. My rear view, yeah, exactly. Time. You can, well, I'm gonna have to get a GCA down to the HD camera install position.
Ricky, stand by on the arm. We're talking about things that we have to do.
I'm taking my time.
Okay, green hook is down. Moving your way.
Copy.
Camera.
Yeah, so that locking pin for the camera was out of alignment and none of the axes of rotation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you actually probably had to wiggle the camera non-rotational, not one of its two axes of rotation, just to find the sweet spot. I had a great view of the pin. I saw the hole, and you pushed the thing in enough directions at one time to align it.
Yeah.
It was completely aligned in both axes that could rotate. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Got a camera for you.
Yeah. Close, I'll grab it.
Hey, Ricky, before we get the camera, we were wondering, we need to disconnect the connector at the light J1 sooner or later. We were wondering if you're in a good position to disconnect that right now or not.
You're talking to one coming out of the top of the light.
One that comes off the back of the light.
That is correct.
No, I have to get a GCA to do that, but I have to head Nader anyway. But I should grab the camera from Drew.
We agree.
Can I not just install the camera? Can I?
No,
instead of holding the camera and doing this one-handed, can I install the camera, or do you need it?
Yep, that's exactly what we can. We agree with that. So we were just wondering if that connection was easy to do right now. But yeah, you got the camera.
Red on it? Not yet. Okay.
Throw one on there, and then I'll take one.
I'll use your eyes here to see if this thing is docked correctly, because there you go, coming your way.
Got it. Got it.
All right, so this is the mating surface.
All right, Ricky, inspect the...
There's still a lens cover on it with the rat.
Okay, Ricky, you can align, check the alignment mark on the AC camera.
Key visor.
See begin and end.
It goes on
this way, so you're not going to be visible. Oh, they're right there. It's on your side.
4 hours, 15 minutes into the spacewalk, the International Space Station currently flying over the site of Soyuz launches and landings, 254 miles above Kazakhstan. As you're looking at the view from the helmet camera of Ricky Arnold, he and Drew Feustel about to reinstall a high-definition camera on a new camera assembly that they just bolted into place on the Port 1 truss of the station.
This goes right in. It is? Talking about the latch, correct?
Yeah,
that's correct, the cam lever.
Before you do that, I put the stand by, actually. I used the P-clamp on the other side for the cable, so you might want to release it. Release that thing so your cable's free.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
Okay, now you're good.
Good call.
Okay, go ahead, Aki.
No, I think you got it, actually. So you get the cam lever flush and slide the camera from zenith to nadir direction.
Ricky, I'm wondering if you need to move up.
I'm going to have the maker. I got a GCA here and get in a better position.
Okay. Let's come.
That's good.
Zenith to nadir, so it's got to go.
You need to go away. So you need to go away from the truss so you can push that towards the truss from the top of that other camera.
Yeah, it's got to go on just like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I might be able to see. All right, Maker, are you ready for a GCA?
Yes, we are ready. Brakes are off, and we are setting a manual mode now. Okay. And which direction do you need?
Toward my feet.
Okay. Station Zenith. How much?
Good words.
Okay, we are setting Station Zenith. Motion started.
Excellent motion.
Copy.
Continue. 3, 2, 1. Stop there. You see the alignment, Drew?
Yeah. Looks good, actually.
You need an extra motion?
Stand by one. I think that's offset.
I think it looks good. I think it looks good to me. Make sure it clunks. No. That stays flush.
It stays
It's
flush?
a soft back, yeah.
Can you see the alignment pins? The alignment guys?
No wonder it's so dark. There are no alignment marks on my side. They're on your other side.
Ricky, can you do a pull test?
Can't quite see them.
Can you look over here?
Okay, we got the brakes on.
All right, Aki, I cannot see, so I'm going to have to I got to come around anyway to make this connection, so I'm going to come my right, and then I can see the alignment guides, and if I need to manipulate it, I still can.
Does it move?
Copy.
It's not moving. I think it's attached.
Yeah, it looks well aligned. I see that it's flush on the bottom and it's even.
Hey, Ricky, let's just do a pull test.
Good even gap all the way around the bottom.
Yeah, it's not. You don't want me to pull the station 2R, but it's not moving. I just can't see the alignment guides. But Drew said it looks good, looks aligned.
Okay,
Flush.
and the
Flush.
copy. The marking are flush, and can you check the cam lever flush?
Okay, the cam lever is flushed. I cannot see the markings. That's why I want to come around the light side where I got to make the connection. Anyway, you just confirm that.
Yeah, Ricky, we're good with that.
Okay. Baker, are you ready?
We are ready.
Okay, I got to come to my right, body right, which is going to be station aft.
Station aft to your right.
Very good.
Okay, we are setting station aft.
Motion.
Good motion.
Continue.
Continue.
Continue. Continue.
Continue.
3, 2, 1. Let's stop there. Okay, I can. Neither of the alignment marks are visible. Oh, there they are. So the alignment marks should be flush with the bottom.
Do you see the
Brakes are off.
Thank you.
Do you see the alignment?
See my WVS?
Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's dark.
I see the two alignment guides. Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's... Yeah, I understand. Should the bottom alignment guide be flush with the bottom of the SD camera? So it's in a good position. In other words, the opposite side from the lens?
Yeah, that's what we were hoping to see, so you're in a good config.
It's not. That's why I'm asking.
So
the
could you...
is not flush. So the two cameras should align flushly.
Stand by.
So at the non-lens side of the cameras, they should... Can't remember if they come up back on the bottom or not.
I think the marks on the new camera are supposed to line up with the marks on the other ones.
So
I'm sure it's not parallax.
Yeah, so Ricky...
I'm not seeing...
So the second alignment mark, that should be flush to the standard def camera.
Okay,
Not the alignment mark, but the back of the standard def camera.
The back of the camera. Oh, there you go. You just moved it some more.
So the back of the camera should be flush.
You just moved it a little bit more.
That's not the...
4 hours, 23 minutes into the spacewalk, Ricky Arnold working to properly align the high-definition camera on the bracket on the P1 truss of the International Space Station. That plus the connection of all of the cables for the pan and tilt unit and electrical connections for this camera would complete the final task of today's spacewalk.
Yeah, it's moving a little bit.
So, Ricky, if you had the cam lever flush and pass the pull test, that might be good enough. We're coming up in a handover in about a minute and a half.
Okay, copy. Just can't quite.
Why don't you move up a little bit? Zenith's more, maybe you can get up on top of it and a little push down.
Doesn't need to go. Oh, okay. Okay,
It needs to go nadir.
Okay. I gotta go nadir anyway. Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, it looks good to us in this config. We are happy with the current config. Yes, you did the pull test, it passed, and the cam lever are flush, correct?
It's cam lever's flush and full test. It's not going anywhere.
The backs of both cameras are not flush with
Yeah,
each
but the
other.
backs of the cameras are not flush.
Right. So it's not the back of both cameras. It's the alignment mark and the standard def camera. The back of the standard def camera should be flush.
Oh, okay. That is aligned. That is close. That is aligned.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Coming up on the handover, so we'll talk to you on the other side.
I get through the scoop.
And so at the 4 hour, 25-minute mark in the spacewalk, we have a good installation of the high-definition camera that was removed on the old camera assembly from the Port 1 truss, now reinstalled on a new camera assembly that sets the stage for the connection of cables and the activation of this high-definition camera that will be coming up a short time from now. To recap today's activities, Drew Feustel and Ricky Arnold began their spacewalk at 8:33 a.m. Central Time today, running a bit behind schedule because of additional leak checks that were required for Drew Feustel's spacesuit. Once outside, however, the crew has made its way smartly through all of its work, with Feustel installing a pair of wireless communications antennas on the Tranquility module for payload data retrieval from an upcoming environmental payload that will be launched on a future SpaceX Dragon cargo mission to the station. Ricky Arnold released and removed a pair of flex hoses from a radiator beam valve module, and that all taking place while Feustel inspected and staged a hose for a pump flow control subassembly coolant component on the S0 truss of the station. The camera port assembly for the P1 truss activities has been ongoing now for the past hour and a half or so, and we're nearing its completion with the high-definition camera from the old assembly having been reinstalled on the new camera assembly that has been bolted into place on the P1 truss.
Yeah, if you lean back again, I can get a shot. Hold on a second. Out of the way. These alignment tabs. That's clear. Pinch down that lid like crazy. Yep. I've already done that once and then bit me. Oh. I know how to make it different. All right, Aki, I have them both in my bag. Bag's closed.
Copy. So you got 2 items in the bag, and then you can give that bag to Drew.
Sounds so trivial. Says that. It's not. Stand by for 6, buddy. Yep, take your time. How are we doing now, guys, with consumables, timeline, hours, etc.?
Yeah, we're a PT of 4 plus 30. Limiting is 6 hours. Medox on Drew.
Carrying all these bags.
There you go. All right, Ricky, so once you handed off the bags, and I think the HD camera part side is clear, then you can move over to the cable connections. We need to disconnect some cables and then reconnect it. I can walk you through once you get to position.
Got to get to the back of the light, so that's the first destination, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and I'm going to do a cable connection to the back of the light, and the back of the light, we're going to do a jumper car thing. Okay.
Yep, basically that's it.
At the 4.5-hour mark in the spacewalk, Ricky Arnold now will be connecting a series of cables to the reinstalled high-definition camera on the new camera assembly on the Port 1 truss. Once that's all complete, the flight control team here will be given the green light to power up this new camera assembly and make sure it all works, including a test of the pan and tilt unit.
Get some more room on this root. There you go. On the other side, yeah, bring it around. It's the handrail used. Bag? I think so.
The other one's covered now.
Then it must be that one.
Maybe you came out on the other one, but now that it's...
I came out on that one, I think.
Because this is the wobbly one.
Yeah?
That's the stable one.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, let me give you a rep back.
Ready? Ready. Thank you.
Now, what can I do with this bag? Fit?
All right, Aki. Are you ready for me to do the wiring here?
Stand by.
Maker?
Sure.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is you take me back to the published position for when I was first approaching the light, except don't give me any station nadir. That'll bring me square onto the light where I need to go to get the light fixture on the back, I believe. So that's what I'm thinking. Those numbers.
Okay. The first position. Roger that.
Does that make sense to you guys?
And Ricky, we concur with the plan, so go ahead and maneuver GCA to the position so that you can reach the connectors.
And I want the connector, the first one is the back of the lamp, correct?
That is correct. First thing for you is to disconnect that connection.
Got it. Okay, we got to do a jump. Okay. All right, if you guys want to go ahead, I'm ready. If you want to take me back to that initial position when I was first approaching the camera light. Minus any, I think it's actually gonna, it would call for me to go zenith.
Yep. Talking about the zenith or nadir, we are pretty much almost same Z value, so we are just changing X and the Y.
Okay, well let's do that, and then I'll tell you if I'm probably going to need a little bit of zenith, but we'll see.
Set up.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, 30 centimeters, station aft.
That sounds good to me, Demo.
20 to go. Okay, and the next one is negative Y, which is station port towards the camera. 1 meter.
Concur.
Working in the cupola at the robotics workstation, Scott Tingle and Norishige Kanai moving Ricky Arnold, who has been working at the end of the Canadarm2 robotic arm in a portable foot restraint through the course of today's activities, moving him into a position where he can mate a series of cables to the reinstalled high-definition camera on this new camera group that was installed and bolted into place on the P1 truss. This view from Ricky Arnold's helmet camera, looking at that light, all of this hardware on the high-definition camera and the newly installed camera assembly will be activated a short time from now following the connection of a series of cables.
Keep going just a little bit more. Your yaw is correct, and please continue.
Thank you for confirmation. Continue.
Thank you. Continue.
Continue.
Please. I think you're rotating me away from the light. Stop motion. Got to bring me back to my left.
The other direction. Thank you.
That looks good. Thank you.
Measure that. Continue.
Continue, please. You.
Copy.
You.
Copy.
3, 2, 1. Let's stop that for now. I might need some more of that. I'll need a little bit of station nadir. Zenith, I'm sorry. Toward my feet.
Okay. Towards your feet. Station zenith.
Yes. It's going through. Yeah.
And there.
Good motion.
Copy. Good motion.
3, 2, continue. I'm sorry. 3, 2, 1. Stop motion there.
Stop motion.
Okay, Aki, what do you got?
All right, first we're going to disconnect the connection at the back of the light.
Okay. Ready?
GCA complete and
GCA complete. Thank you, John.
next up.
Copy, GCA complete.
Are you ready for me, Aki?
Hey, firm, we're ready.
Okay. No fog, no bad pins.
Copy. Next, you're going to inspect and then mate the cable P4 to HD camera J1.
The cable I have in my hand?
That is correct.
That's what I thought. Okay. So,
Make sure you inspect the, yep, on both sides.
Looking at it now.
Ricky Arnold now working on a series of cable connections for the reinstalled high-definition camera on the brand new camera assembly installed on the P1 truss of the International Space Station. We are not far away from the point at which the green light will be given for the flight control team to power up this new camera assembly and to ensure that it is operating in a normal fashion. We're at the coming up on the 4-hour, 40-minute mark in the spacewalk, everything continuing to proceed well in the home stretch of today's excursion. The International Space Station is flying from northwest to southeast, about to skirt the east coast of Australia on this orbit of the Earth. Spacewalk having begun at 8:33 a.m. Central Time today. The 209th spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades.
Yeah, so we have one more cable to do, and then we'll do the TA clamp.
Okay.
And could you verify that this connector was over center? Yeah, the one that you just did.
It is over center.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Over center.
All right, next, I think you got it. That cable, Whiskey 9854, goes to the light J1. Inspect for FODs, bent pins, good EMI band.
It all looks good.
Okay. It took a while, but it's all attached.
Well, those are baited. It's over center, Aki.
Copy, very good. Drew, if you were standing by there, once you get the bags bundled, you can head back to the airlock, and we'll have some more words shortly.
Yeah, I will just on my BRT and head back there.
Thank you. And for Ricky, you can route both cables, those two cables, through the TA clamp on the HD camera.
All right, so what I'm doing is I took the cable that came from the HD camera, and I ran that through the, you could probably see it right here, my WVS, that's going through the TA clamp on the light. And then the light power supply going through the TA clamp on the HD camera. I think that's the configuration you're looking for.
Stand by, checking. Hey, Ricky, a slight change, please. Instead of routing it through the TA clamp on the light, we want both through the TA clamp on the HD camera.
I was just wondering when the light starts moving if you're going to have enough slack to make this happen, so that makes sense.
Thanks.
Oh, good catch.
There's a lot of people on the ground that's watching those.
Oh, I know.
Don't be scared.
All right, those are in the clamp on the HD camera.
Thank you. And
Nice.
could you close the TA clamp on the light, please?
Oh, sure. That's complete.
Thank you. All right, next, make sure that the window hood on the standard def camera is square and pointed to ISS nadir. Just make sure that it's straight.
They both are.
Okay, and you can push in and rotate the camera pen tilt lever until it's unlocked.
Hey, Drew, hold on a second. Drew. Hold on a second. That time, I don't think you got it together. All right.
Looks like sunrise is coming and you guys are over Australia.
Hell yeah. Outstanding. Yeah. All right, you want me to pan tilt, unlock it?
Stay firm, unlock the pan tilt lever, and verify that the lever pops out.
Okay, I'm going to need to come station nadir, Nemo.
Copy. Station nadir.
Okay.
The brake off and the manual mode is on and starting station nadir.
Good motion.
Copy. Good motion.
Continue.
Continue.
3, 2, 1. Stop. Let me see if I can reach it from here.
Okay, stop motion.
Push it and rotate it. It's unlocked.
Copy. Verify that the lever pops out.
Now it's out.
Okay. We see it. Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder.
All right, check all tethers and tools are clear of the camera group, and if you are happy, you can give us a go to power up the camera.
Okay, let me see. I got my ingress aids tucked in. I do not see any of my tethers in the way. I got a whole view of the arm, and I'm clear of the camera. I'll go for you to power up, and I'm go for whatever Maker and Nemo have next for us.
And at the 4-hour, 46-minute mark into today's spacewalk, the high-definition camera, which was removed from the old failed camera assembly that is now back in the Quest airlock, that high-definition camera has been installed. All of the cable connections have been made, and now the flight control team here in Mission Control will power up the new camera assembly and test it all out to make sure it is functional. You're looking at the helmet camera view from Ricky Arnold as he inspects his gloves, part of the periodic activities for both spacewalkers during the course of their excursion outside of the International Space Station that is currently flying from northwest to southeast, approaching the capital of Wellington, the capital of New Zealand.
Ricky, thanks. So Ricky, you can have the comm and move back to the handoff position, or back-off position, I guess.
Okay, copy. Nemo, I think you guys are flying the numbers, and just want, like I said, I'm clear. My ingress aid sucked in. My safety tether is clear, and I got a good view of the arm. The only thing I see is the lower boom. It looks like you probably see it's like a wet antenna. I think behind me.
Yes.
You have eyes on that?
Yes, we have a bag and a good camera view, so we are happy.
Okay, awesome. I figured you did.
And we have numbers and we have manuals, and we are working start motion momentarily.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, first we are rotating your maneuver.
Sounds good. Good motion.
See, good motion.
I'm looking back at the arm. Your lower boom camera looking this way?
Yes.
Down the seat spur.
Okay, Ricky, so we need a little bit station port, a little bit towards the camera.
Towards the camera?
Station port.
Station port, yeah, that's fine.
Ricky Arnold being maneuvered away from the Port 1 truss and the location of the installation of this new camera assembly. Drew Feustel heading back to the airlock to place a number of bags with tools in the airlock.
Copy.
We are moving station later 15 centimeters or so.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thermal cover is open.
Looks like you're checking out
Copy.
the light.
That was the idea all along.
And I see the camera moving too. News.
Means you didn't forget to unlock it.
Come on, grumpy old man.
A lot of stuff in here, but I guess not as much as when we left.
Yeah. Glad we got this HD camera in.
Yeah, I know.
Ricky, next maneuver is J-OCAS to the thrust takeoff position, and give us 1 second to set up.
Which general direction am I moving? You don't mind me asking.
This view from Ricky Arnold's helmet camera as he looks directly at his handiwork, the newly installed high-definition camera on the new camera assembly on the Port 1 truss.
Forward, so it's going to be toward the camera.
It's in the process of being tested, and its pan and tilt unit being exercised.
for the arm. Could you hold 1 second, please?
Standing by.
Copy.
Guys. I think what you're going to want to do is back me away from the camera, but or take me Zenith maker, because otherwise I'm really close.
Okay, copy that. Give us a second.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what the ground has to say.
There's no GCA.
Thank you very much. We have manual maneuver to the Zenith backup position before JOCAS, so you are absolutely right. We are moving you to the Zenith.
Oh, thanks, guys. You get a picture of this beautiful gem module.
And by the way, we just got word that you did a great job on the CP8 camera.
That's very good news. Thank you, Aki.
And we are moving you to the station Zenith.
Oh, the view's about to get a lot worse.
And Aki Hoshide here in Mission Control, verifying that the new high-definition camera, you're looking at the view from it right now, looking at Ricky Arnold. It is up and running in great shape.
Brake torque on ESP2. Just wanted to check with you.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I can do that. I'm looking for some rets in here.
Again, this is the view from the newly reinstalled high-definition camera on the new camera port assembly on the P1 truss, looking down at the Earth from an altitude of 254 statute miles over the South Pacific.
Hard to move once we get in here.
Okay, so you're talking about rets to secure the bag inside the airlock?
Yeah, and look, all the large smalls. I see two large smalls. One's on the camera group now, and one's on the medium ORU bag that had my PGT in it. And then I don't see any large smalls on the other bags here.
Copy. Stand by while we talk about it. In the meantime, for the pump module brake, I just wanted to give you a big picture on what we need. We need the crew lock bag number 2, which has a torque multiplier, and also PGT without any socket. There's your PGT in the bag and also Ricky's PGT in the bag that you're carrying. Your choice.
Okay. Your choice. Okay.
And there is the true definition of a picture worth 1,000 words, a great high-definition view of Ricky Arnold at the end of the Canadarm2 robotic arm as he takes pictures of the high-definition camera taking pictures of him over the South Pacific, having completed the successful reinstallation of the high-definition camera on this new camera assembly on the Port 1 truss. Drew Feustel, who is back in the airlock, is getting a pistol grip tool and will proceed with one get-ahead task, the breaking and retorquing of bolts, 4 bolts on a spare pump module on one of the spare parts platforms, ESP2, external stowage platform number 2, that is right outside of the Quest airlock.
Starting a motion.
Here's motion.
Starting a motion. Thank you.
Some great views of the gem, guys. Whole thing, the Jeff.